Hello and welcome. This is Kevin, also known as AWOL, and today we have a very interesting bracelet. This is pattern 21224 over on friendshipbracelets.net, and the Kumi is 2019, also on friendshipbracelets.net. And this one is interesting because it has these long segments where the variegated floss can do its thing and completely change its color and make it very interesting while not actually coming in contact with another string. So you get that flow, you get the whole thing, and there's nothing to take away from it except there is like 1, 2, 3, there are 4 small diamonds that, because it's a diamond, it starts in the middle, you got 2 different strings. You can't necessarily get those ones to match up, which is a little bit of a disappointment considering how much of the rest of the pattern works out really super well. This could be a beginner-friendly pattern, except because I went with the variegated floss, I turned it into a much more complicated pattern by actually zigzagging the string to go along those long segments. So rather than just letting, if it was just 2 colors, 2 solids, it could have been very, very different. But because it was a variegated and I wanted to keep that change that it does intact, I make it actually change direction with each one of the zigzags, which it kind of zigzags a lot, to be honest. It really does. And it makes for a very interesting look. That said, it also makes it so that way a couple particular strings end up much shorter than the rest, and means that my cutting things in thirds definitely helped to make sure that I didn't run into a problem. Now, mind you, I was able to get full length tassels and everything worked out great, but if I was one of those people who tries to cut down on the amount of string used, yeah, I would definitely have had some trouble. Color contrast worked out really, really well. So this is kind of a white to a mid-ish gray. Like, it's not that dark of a gray, which gives it a sort of a platinum kind of look. I think it's an interesting overall. Now, I could see where some people might think it looks a little dirty, like a white where you had like the graphite from a pencil kind of thing, kind of dusted over in areas. You know, that it kind of, I would agree that it does have a bit of that look to it as well. But that said, it's still interesting. It's a characteristic thing that, as long as you convince the buyer that yes, it is in fact new, it did not get worn and get dirty as a result, that this was deliberate, then I think somebody's going to appreciate it. We'll see how that goes. It's a bold claim to say that somebody's not going to look at this and think, huh, how long did you wear it for? Because it does have a little bit of that. It does, I admit. But that's what the whole experimenting with the variegated floss was about, was to see which patterns and which colors turned out for the better. There is a great contrast. The red and gray look great together. They really do. I just kind of wonder, you know, if it looks clean, if it looks nice. So, it did take me just over an hour, like an hour and a couple minutes, so nothing really crazy there. It doesn't do a whole lot of like big segmenting spaces. I mean, it does kind of segment to some extent, but not anything kind of crazy or, you know, makes it super easy or fast or anything. It did get to just before the halfway point in the first segment of my recording, so yeah, that, and then the second half goes faster. I think it's just the length of the string. Like, you don't have to pull up long pieces of string, and it just makes the whole thing kind of go quicker. I think that's why the second half is always faster. could be just getting used to the pattern and get so accustomed to it that also could be why it goes faster. I don't know if you got another thought of why this might be a thing. I'm willing to hear it out, because I have no idea, honestly. But it is a very pretty bracelet. It is fun, and I could see definitely doing this as a solid colors as opposed to the variegated. It would still look really super cool. In fact, I bet you it would probably look pretty cool double, because the sides, the way they are, you would end up with the dots kind of like what run down the center. You would end up with that all along the side of it, I think, and that might be kind of an interesting look, because it wouldn't. You would still have the little circle diamonds on this one, but you wouldn't have it in the middle of it, right? So the hole all the way down the middle would just be the little small diamonds, like what the red makes in the middle of each of these zigzags. So I think it could look really cool doubled. And if you double it, then you can obviously do it multiple times over and turn it into bags or something bigger, you know, have some fun with that. Wait, before we are beyond the halfway point. I almost forgot to thank my YouTube members for making this possible. It's been really fun this month putting together more variegated floss designs and experimenting with things and seeing how it turns out. So they made it possible. Big kudos to each and every one of you guys. Thank you so much. Kind of looking forward to getting on to something different next month. It's been fun. Don't get me wrong, it has been a lot of fun. But it'll be fun to do something different than variegated. I don't know. To be honest, I haven't even figured out what next month's thing is yet. And here we are at like almost the end of the month. We got like, what, one more bracelet to make? So yeah, I should probably get that figured out, shouldn't I? That's all right. We'll come up with something cool. Yeah, I sped this up a lot because I kind of knew that there wasn't going to be a whole lot to talk about. I want to make sure I cover the bases, like, was it easy? Is it fast? Stuff like that. Do I have problems with some strings being shorter, which was yes. But yeah, it's pretty neat. Oh, and because it has like parts that are like segments that are like real repetitive or whatever, like I get worried about making a mistake on that. But the segments that are longer only have basically those little 3 diamonds down the middle of it. And so it's really easy to see 1, 2, 3, okay, that's where I am. And being able to match that on the pattern definitely made it a little bit easier as to spotting where I am and what I have to do. So in that aspect, this pattern was pretty awesome. And you might notice if you watch the thing, like how I do the little diamondy bits that are on the edges, like I always kind of did that the same. And I was kind of making it so that way that the reds use their strings a lot more evenly. It's not perfect. There is, you know, some of them were a little bit shorter than others, but developing a system to kind of keep it nice and even and steady and awesome. And I think the back of it kind of reflects that a lot too. So yeah, we're towards the last part here. This is like the last little bit of the whole bracelet, which was cool. Yeah, if you got questions, comments, you know, down below, definitely do it. If you want to become a member and watch behind the scenes footage of me making stuff and do the hangouts and all that kind of good stuff, it's easy. It's $4 a month. You can join. And yeah, you can actually like watch videos like this where I'm getting myself psyched up and ready to go. Lots of fun. All right, guys, here comes the end. Thanks for watching, and as always, don't get your strings in a bunch.